Hello, folks. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live, brought to you by Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We keep you connected to the comic book community. I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
And this is a show about this week's new comics. Going to talk some of our favorites. Some things we're recommending this week. It's an interactive program. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're reading, what you're looking forward to reading, what's at the top of your stack this week. But we always like to start the show with a little comic shop news. Comic shop news. That was good. What are we talking about in comic shops this week? Well, this is Saturday, and it's not free comic book day. Is not free comic book day. It's always been the first Saturday of May, usually been the first Saturday of May, but not this year. Opening with so just to throw that out there, I've been getting lots of calls today asking if we're participating in free comic book day today, and no, we're not, because it's in August, right?
Like the middle of August.
The middle of, I think, the second Saturday of August or some such. Go to freecomicbookday.com. They have all the info on the dates, on the books, on all that good stuff. But today is not that day, but we appreciate your enthusiasm and encourage everybody to look forward to and participate in Free Comic Day because it's awesome.
Yes.
And as the date gets closer, we'll, of course, be inundating you with information about how we're going to do it. But that's not really necessary at this moment because we have other comic shop news to get on to, like, let's throw it to you for Chronicles news.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So, yeah, Black Cat Chronicles #2 is well underway. Research is done. Script is getting worked on. The art is going to start happening momentarily. I'm working on the next Kickstarter campaign for that. That should be up within the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. So keep an eye out for that. Alaska Port Chatham. So lots of creepy stuff in Alaska. We're going to expand this issue to talk more about just creepy stuff that happens in Alaska and then save the bulk of the story for the latter few pages. But there's a lot of weirdness to that state.
Yes. You folks in Alaska are brave, and it's not just the bears and the Bigfoots and the UFOs. It's just all kinds of craziness going on up there.
You are 4 or 5 times more likely to go missing in Alaska than any other state. So more than California, there's more missing people per capita in Alaska, 4 times more than California. And that's saying something.
Anytime anything is more than New York, Los Angeles, or Texas, that's cause for concern. You should leave that place. No offense to Alaska. I'm sure it's beautiful. But yeah, super creepy because
I'm Ask Panther.
Truth is scarier than fiction.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yes, like I said, be on the lookout for the Kickstarter program for issue #2. Pick up your issue #1 at black-cat-comics.com. If you haven't already, go to black-cat-publishing.com for all kinds of pertinent and fun information. Good times there.
And we're also looking to launch another title. Should we talk about that?
Sure.
Black Cat Tales is the fictional storyline that we're going to be working on. So each same kind of concept. It's still narrated by your host, the Black Cat, except instead of it being true stories of horror, they're going to be fictionalized stories of horror. And each issue will be its own separate one-shot as well. So we're going to be launching that probably in June, I'm guessing, once the second issue of Chronicles kicks off.
Yeah. The idea is to be quarterly with each title in a rotation so that you guys will eventually be getting a new Black Cat comic kind of every other month. And that'll be really awesome.
Hi, TJN.
Looking forward to that because the first issue was so much fun and is being very well received.
And we're even brainstorming on other things to do with Black Cat Publishing.
Yes, we might be publishing other things besides just those 2 tales. Fun stuff. And last but definitely not least, in comic shop news is the solidification of the return to in-store shopping. We will be ready for in-store appointments
May 11th. 12th.
That's Wednesday the 12th. You will be able to
12th.
make appointments that previous Saturday.
Saturday the 8th. Saturday, May 8th at 12 p.m.
There you
will
go.
be able to start booking your in-store appointments for the next week.
So yes, as of that Saturday, be able to book your half-hour in-store appointments.
Half hour with this guy.
You get the shop and your
All
comic
to
book
yourself.
guy all to yourself. Half an hour, 30 minutes of question, answer, shopping, and fun. Good times, uninterrupted by door-to-door salesmen and people hawking their wares. So that's really exciting. Very excited to get folks back in the shop. Excited to give you all an opportunity to, like I say, have a really personalized shopping experience. And that's just a couple of weeks away.
And we got this cool little thing. It looks like R2-D2. It's like this fancy Japanese air filter thing that's supposed to clean out the air every like an hour. So we've got hand sanitizing stations. We've got air filtration that will clean out any COVID in the air every hour. So we're good. We're ready for you to come in and shop safely.
And it'll be super fun.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about here in our comic shop. That's our comic shop news. Again, this is an interactive program, so feel free to throw your questions, comments, queries, and concerns, and we will address them to the best and worst of our ability.
Do you want to talk about Causey's Classics from last night? A little recap?
While you service these customers, yes. Mildly, because fortunately, I guess we sold all the books. But just to reiterate, every Friday, the last Friday of every month, we do a little show called Causey's Classics that is sort of the opposite of this. Here on Comic Shop Talk Live, we talk about all the new books and this week's books. Causey's Classics is all about the vintage books from the awesome eras gone by. And we did that last night. The theme of the evening was first issues, and it was really fun. It was a great show. Like I say, I sold all the books. Normally, I would say go to black-cat-comics.com, click on shop, click on Causey's Classics, and pick up some of the books. But we moved them. But you can still go check it out on Facebook, check it out on YouTube. I like to think it's mildly entertaining and informational about great reasons to buy old books. Might have an extra copy of some of those others if there's something you're really looking for. So anyway, go to the Facebook thing, the YouTube thing, and check out last night's episode of Causey's Classics, because it was a lot of fun. Like I say, we talked about first issues, and who doesn't love first issues?
You're very fun-formational and infotainment. I
appreciate that. I love infotainment. Infotainment's my favorite. I want War of the Bounty Hunters one-shot coming out next week. Yes. Everybody's. That's another thing. I'm already have people showing up at the store looking for their copy. Everything Star Wars. Marvel is doing such a bang-up job with their Star Wars comics these days that TJM Navy USS America is 200% true. If for some reason you're not following a Star Wars book, you're missing out on something awesome.
It's incredible.
And next week's War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha one-shot is a great place to jump in, because who doesn't love Boba Fett? And if you don't love Boba Fett, then you just haven't seen enough
You
Boba
don't love
Fett.
Star Wars.
Well, one thing I like to emphasize about it, though it's probably not true, you don't really have to love Star Wars to love the comics. If you just love science fiction or you just like comics, they still do a great job with all that Star Wars stuff. So yes, TJ, I'm with you on that Bounty Hunters thing. Zuckus. Yes, now we'll move on to what we're here to do, which is talk this week's new comics. We're going to go through some things that we're enjoying reading. And again, want to hear from you. Want to know what you're looking forward to. Why don't you start us off?
Okay. So not a huge superhero. I mean, I love me some Batman, of course, but I usually stick with the horror-themed stuff, if you don't know me by now. But I actually picked up Robin this week. It's #1, and it's actually really good. So it's not my favorite Robin. Dick Grayson, always, first place in my heart here for Robin. I do miss the mullet. I miss the Nightwing mullet. It's my favorite.
Yes.
But so this is Damien, who's broken away and is, let's see, how do I say it without spoiling it? He is like in Fight Club. And I'll just say it like that. And everyone's looking for him, and he's battling his inner demons. Damien's not my favorite character, but you got to give it to the kid. He is fiercely independent. He is super duper confident. He knows who he is and what he's capable of. And sometimes that hubris kicks him in the butt. And so I'm looking forward to see where this goes. But it's really interesting so far. A lot of great characters that you haven't seen before or in a long, long time. And it's just Fight Club.
Sounds awesome. A lot of people like Damien. I'm again, like you, he's not my favorite Robin. I mean, Dick Grayson is Nightwing. Making my favorite Robin maybe is Tim Drake.
Tim's good.
But it isn't that what am I trying to say? The reason he's not my favorite is a credit to the character. The same reason I didn't like Azrael and different things. They give him a lot of personality, and they make you sort of like and not like him, which I like. He's very different from Dick, from Tim, from what's his name, who's Red Hood, and I like that. I like that they give him an edge. I like that he's somehow he's part of the Bat family. Thank you. When you read just about anything from Damien, he is the child of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul.
Oh, he's the grandson of Ra's al Ghul.
And they do a great job of never relenting on that premise. And so, like I say he's not my favorite Robin, but I think that's a compliment to how they write the character, how they handle the character.
You've been on my mind lately, so you must be psychic.
And TJM is saying Miles Morales 25. Yes, that's another pick of the week. I don't know why we don't have it up there. If you're, again, just like Star Wars, if for some reason if you're one of the 3 people that's not reading Miles Morales, this week's number 25 starts a new Clone Saga, and Grown Saga, as they used to say. But this one will be awesome because it's Miles and it's new and it's awesome. Good stuff.
Your turn.
My turn. Okay, so I got to throw it out to Fantastic Four number 31. One of my all-time favorite titles, and one of my running themes lately is that a lot of Marvel books are as good right now as they've been in a long, long time. Whatever your favorite run or arc of that book is, then you would love this just as much as that one. I'll show you.
That page is awesome.
The cool everything going on splash page.
Great color.
Check that out. Great color. Great pencil work. Lots of great art in this book. But the gist of it is that the awesome art is just part of it, because what makes it so awesome is what has always made Fantastic Four awesome is that it's a book about characters and personalities. This book is about the friendship between Ben and Reed. It's about the friendship between Ben and Johnny. It's about the relationship of Reed and Sue. It's about their kids. It's about the team members that have come along in recent years. It is first and foremost a book about characters and personalities who have these incredible and amazing adventures. It's a family book. It's a fun book, and it's packed with awesome science fiction action. Yes, it's like I say, sort of on the nicer end. It's not as dark as a lot of stuff in comics, but it's just action packed and 90 miles an hour. And it's a book about superheroes. It's a book about science fiction superheroes, which FF has always been. And like I say, great stories, great art. It's just action packed, a mile a minute. With cool side stories. And anyway, I'm always talking up FF, and if you love the FF and you've been out of it for a while, you got to come back. If you've never read the FF, now's your time to jump in, because this will show you, just in this one issue, will show you what I'm always talking about. And as I've been saying for a little while, you have to jump in now, because next issue is the wedding of Dr. Doom, and that's going to be one of the biggest things. Exactly. It's going to be one of the biggest things, certainly to hit Marvel in a long, long time. It's kind of coming out of left field, and it's going to be awesome. And everybody's going to read that one, and then they're going to go back and pick up previous issues or whatever. So take my word for it now. So when the next issue comes out, you can be one of the people that says, well, I was reading it before it was cool. So Fantastic 431, awesome book, great stories, great art. Dan Slott, can I just say, Dan Slott and Chip Zdarsky are writing some of my favorite stuff right now. These guys know Marvel, and they're giving us what we want, but in ways we haven't seen before, and that's just really tons of fun.
And Emo, I have not yet seen Bernie Wrightson's Monsters, but as soon as it comes out, I will be first in line to grab it. But it did come out this week, is the novelization of Frankenstein. And if you haven't seen, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't seen some of Bernie's work on Frankenstein, it is masterful. It is some of the best art ever
you'll ever see.
And it's,
period.
Conveying emotion of the monster is what Bernie does best, is giving you that taste, that feel of what it's like to be the other. Let's see, what else can I show? But it's mostly most of this is prose, but there's just a couple of his illustrations.
It's the original novel, right?
Yeah. But if you're a huge fan of Bernie's work, you guys got to check out the hardcover deluxe edition of the graphic novel, which really is just all of his artwork. It is unbelievable. If Alex Ross is up there for Marvel, like Bernie does the monsters. Like he's the best as far as tone, depth, emotion. You really feel for his characters when he draws. So yes, all things Bernie Wrightson, have it on your list. Love.
That's such a great example. And Bernie Wrightson is one of those guys, you could say everything about every positive compliment ever applies to Bernie Wrightson. One thing I always like to throw out there, because I think it's so important in graphic storytelling, and you just say exactly, and that page where Frankenstein's in the forest is a perfect example
by himself,
is that he gives you the emotion of the character. All his characters emote. Mm-hmm. You're not just they're not flat. All his characters exude, but all of his backgrounds, his world exudes as well. Mm-hmm. We were talking about it last time. We were talking about it earlier before the show. Something I always talk about is that it's about world building. It brings you in and keeps you there, and you're in that world. Mm-hmm. And boy, and a lot of even the greatest of greats. You don't have a lot of time in comics, so you do one or the other. You have a great facial expression that's telling the story, or you have this amazing environment that tells you where this character is having their action. But it's tough to do both, and it's especially tough to do both in one panel, and it's impossible to do that in every single panel you ever draw. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just one of the things that makes him just absolutely one of the best.
He can capture that the Hulk TV series where Bruce Banner is walking away on the highway and you're like, oh, so sad. That's Bernie's art. Tragically beautiful.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. So like a lot of creators that we talk about, Google that name, buy everything that comes up on that list, and you won't regret it. So my second Marvel book is Savage Avengers, latest issue of Savage Avengers with beat up Spidey on the cover. Another book I talk up all the time. This is issue 20. Another book where the same creative team's been doing the run for the whole time, which is something that has been missing from comics for a long time. One of the reasons I talk up this book, one of the reasons I talk up Immortal Hulk, is because it isn't one of those 6 issues and over sort of things. It's a thing that builds and storylines grow and grow, and you're allowed to explore things, and you really see what the writer has in store as an overall concept, and on and on. And that used to be the norm. We used to joke that comic writers were like Supreme Court judges. You got the job and you wrote that book till you died. But now it's sort of too much the other, where you write 4 issues, 6 issues, and then you never touch the character again. So it's just one of the Wolverine, Punisher, and Elektra, all the characters that Cap wouldn't hang out with fell into the Savage Avengers, and they're taking on some cool dark villains that we haven't seen in a long time, like Cool and Gath, who you might remember from Red Sonja or from the old X-Men comics back in the Paul Smith days. Obviously, this one has Spidey on the cover. And if you can see, there's the Rhino, one of Spidey's like old school villains.
Remember that from the cartoons in the 70s and 80s.
You bet. And so I'll give you a little piece of the. There's our boy, the Rhino, doing his thing.
Nice.
Love the Rhino. Real quick, one thing that is especially awesome and a testament to genius is when characters are essentially the exact same as they were in 1967, like Electro and the Rhino and the Vulture, and you do it right the first time. Sandman, all those early Spidey villains are pretty much identical to how they've always been, and they're still just as awesome as ever. So anyway, seeing Conan and Wolverine in the same title, I mean, do you really need more than that? Savage Avengers, pick up the first issue. You'll again see what I'm always talking about. Just dive into the trades. There's 3 trades, and then you can catch up to the recent issue. If you like team books, if you just like dark and edgy, it's fun stuff.
It's awesome. He just drew Rhino for his class about a week ago. That's funny.
I think he's a great character. Yeah. He's a really, really great character. And there have been so many times over the years. Remember one issue of The Thing that is just the Thing and the Rhino in a bar, and then the Rhinos, they do that with the Thing a lot. He's done with Sandman, he's done it with the Rhino. Villains, especially the ones that aren't that smart, reach a point where they're just getting tired of getting beat up all the time, where this shtick has not worked out how they thought it would, and they're kind of tired of getting beat up all the time. And that's when the Thing, tries to convince them to be one of the good guys. And anyway, the Rhino's a great, fun character, and it's always nice when they bust him out.
Can I put a pause in our new this week stuff for just a second?
Sure.
I want to ask, while we've got folks watching, paying attention, what do you guys want to see for the next window? So we're having the front window redone next Tuesday. So I've got some ideas, but we are open to suggestions. So throw out some things you'd like to see on the front window, and we can try to make it happen. If not this time around, then subsequent months. But okay.
There you go.
My turn.
What's next on your stack?
My new favorite book.
One of the best books out right now.
My new favorite, 2 Moons, on issue 3. If you haven't heard me say the synopsis before, I'll say it again. Not synopsis, plot. So it is a Native American who was raised by a white family who is in the Civil War fighting on the side of the Union, but it's also a little tricky. But as he's fighting, he's starting to awaken to his shamanic psychic abilities. So he's seeing things that nobody else is seeing. He's hearing things from his ancestors that nobody else is hearing, and weird, crazy, horrific stuff is happening. And it is gorgeous. It is beautifully drawn, beautifully written. I can't show that.
It's not all ages.
But let me see. Let me show you something I can show, because it's just absolutely amazing.
That's pretty cool. That's a monster.
Yeah, I think it can. Well, it's kind of dark, but maybe you can get a sense of the art. It's really, really well done.
Again, brings you into that world and holds you there.
Historical, paranormal, fiction. Yes, sign me up. Anything along those lines. That is my wheelhouse. That's what I love to read. So creepy, horror, historical. Yes. So 2 Moons, top of my stack this week.
I like both of those ideas. Captain America getting the vaccine would be a good window. I like that, Daniel.
Oh, that's good, Daniel.
And then Emo says Invincible is popular right now because of the show, and that's also super true.
And what was the previous one?
RoboCop.
Nice. Good suggestions, guys. Thank you.
2 Moons totally sucked me in. And I will throw out one of my, again, usual spiels. That everybody needs to have an image book on their list. Everybody should have at least one image book on their list. If you don't have an image book on your list, you're missing out on something that you would really like.
TJ suggests Star Wars for the 40th anniversary. Smart. Yes.
Very smart,
I like that.
especially because May the 4th is like this weekend, right? May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th is when we're going to have the window done.
Well, then, May the 4th be with you, though it becomes immediately dated if you put that on the window. But it is the 40th anniversary.
I like that. All good suggestions. Yes. Thank you.
Good times. Okay, so for my DC books for the week, bringing up Batman Superman number 17. Any new Batgirl? That's a good question. Batman Superman 17 is the second issue from the run. The new creative team started at number 16. Love the creative team of Gene Yang and Ivan Rice, or Yvonne Reyes, or however you want to say it.
Gene Yang, fellow Milpetian.
I think he's San Jose, technically.
We're gonna adopt him in.
There you go. Amazing art. As is always the case, this is probably a little spoilerific, but there it is. Okay, so this book is so much fun, and you kind of need to pick up 16. You can't just jump into 17, but pick up both of them if you know or care anything about these two amazingly iconic characters. And who doesn't? Why are you watching this show if you don't love Superman or Batman? Because he's doing such a masterful job. This book is just, it's about everything. So you know, in DC there's lots of Earths, and there's a Batman and a Superman on all these Earths. So okay, so here's this Earth, and Lois Lane falls through a portal, and she ends up on this Earth over here.
I'm already lost.
It's portals, it's Earths. Somehow magically, Lois Lane goes from this Earth to that Earth. Okay. Anywhere Lois Lane is in trouble, Superman goes, right? So Superman ends up on this Earth to save Lois Lane. Well, on this Earth, there is no Superman. Batman and Superman have never met. So now Batman and Superman are meeting all over again, and it's wacky hijinks and everything. So it's like 3 different worlds. It's 3 different timelines, but it's just this beautiful fusion of all the things you know and love about Superman. It's you know, on the one hand, it's Batman and Robin, Superman, Lex Luthor, Lois Lane. And just as you begin to yawn, the action kicks in, and it really is something a little unlike what you've seen before, which is tough to say about 2 characters that have thousands and thousands of comics between them.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I like to see a world where Lois Lane doesn't need to be saved.
I would argue that happens more frequently than you think.
Or that she's her own savior?
More often than not, that's what happens. People don't really realize, because people criticize Superman more than they actually read it. More often than not, Superman shows up to save her, and then she ends up saving both of them. And I have a feeling that's what's going on in this story. Like I say, that happens quite a bit, because God bless him, you know I love Superman. He's not the smartest. He's really good with the punching, but you know, math.
That's why Batman will always beat him. Juan, no Tomb Raider. We haven't seen any Tomb Raider come through for years, and I just looked at the new DC stuff coming in the next 3 to 6 months. I haven't seen anything new. Batgirl. She's of course in the Bat universe, but she doesn't have her own title as of the new 52.
Infinite Frontier.
Future State stuff, yeah.
Follow Nightwing for recent Batgirl stories. She shows up. Start with number 78 in the new issue 79.
I'm so confused. She's like back as Oracle in some issues. She's Batgirl in other issues. That Barbara, she gets around.
She does. She's a busy woman. She's a modern woman. You know, they can do more than one thing. So Batman Superman is a super fun fusion of everything you know and love about Batman and Superman and the mythos in a fun new story with a new villain and all that kind of thing. So pick up number 16, pick up this week 17. It will not disappoint.
I got you, Daniel. I got you. Yep. So top of the list for Daniel is Department of Truth, another Image book that we know and love. It's starting a new story arc, so it's a good jumping on point. The art is very Cal McDonald-ish, and Ben Templesmith, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
I like me some Templesmith.
It's very kind of sketchy. It's very kind of a little schizophrenic, but that's in a good way. Don't take that as a negative. It really fits the story.
Scratchy.
It's scratchy, yeah. that makes sense because the universe is like, it's almost like a prism, like
staticky.
What's real, what's not. And so that's a really good one too.
That is a really good one. I think that's the gist of the book right there.
Yeah. So it's great. It's basically, what if all of our conspiracy theorists became reality? If enough people thought the earth was flat, then the earth would actually become flat. And how scary is that? And so this is kind of like a BPRD X-Files group that goes in to uncover the source of the conspiracy theories and try to squash them and understand their origin, so that we actually don't have a totally different universe where Hitler is in charge of everything.
Where he's still alive in Brazil.
That would be bad.
So yes, again, as I said, and Daniel's agreeing with me that everybody should have an Image book on their list. Image does. All the publishers, every publisher has a book, produces at least one book that you would love to read. But we can't read something from every single publisher. But Image is one of those groups that they do things that the other publishers just don't do. They do really unique, because everything is creator owned. You get a lot of different voices. So yes, you're not going to read every book that they do, but somewhere in their lineup is 1, 2, 5, 7 books. Spawn's back there. That's my Image classic. But like Department of Truth is a book you're just not going to see.
Well, and spoiler, the same guy who's writing Batman is writing Department of Truth.
There you go.
So if you like the writing in Batman, it's totally different. But his pacing, his talent for words all carries into this book as well. So
isn't he the one that writes Something is Killing the Children too?
Wind. He writes Wind. He might.
I'm
he's very
pretty
prolific.
sure he's doing Something is Killing the Children as well.
Which
is yet another one of my spiels that if you're reading that Marvel or that DC book and you're loving it, go find the book they do at another publisher. Go find, like, Cullen Bunn is a great example.
Oh my God.
If you like Venom or something like that.
Scott Snyder's Undiscovered Country.
Snyder, then find their Image book, find their Boom Studios
Jeff
book.
Johns is Geiger.
Like I say, whatever mainstream, whatever Marvel DC book you're loving,
find them on
that
Image.
writer probably has an Image book. Go find that Image book and you'll really love it. Emo mentioned Invincible. When Invincible was coming out, I used to say in the weekly video all the time, hey, but if you like a writer, you'll probably like other things that they write. Or you should at least try other things that they write. It's a great way to discover new comics.
And Scott Snyder's Noctera is really good too. Yeah, Daniel, thank you.
Number 3 comes next week.
Great sci-fi horror mashup.
You got some time to pick up Noctera 1 and 2. Isn't that Tony Daniel doing the art on that?
Oh, no.
I don't know, but it's really good art.
So. A world where the sun has been blocked out for 13 years. Nice.
Good stuff. Low from Rick Remender. That reminds me of
I think
Low.
Low's over.
Oh, I know, but just as an Image book that people should pick up. That's good stuff. While we're on this topic, I do have one book, but while we're on the thing with Image and whatnot, I'm going to throw a Valiant book out there. Shadow Man #1 from Valiant. And there's 100 reasons I'm excited about this book.
100? List them all.
We don't have time, but I'll do my best. I'll give you 10% of those reasons. So first of all, I just love Valiant. I know they've been around the new Valiant's been around for a long time, and they're probably a little tired of people always bringing up 90s Valiant, but I'm old, so I always bring up 90s Valiant. And Shadow Man was one of my favorite titles back then. Because a little of what I say about Image, Shadow Man was a book that you didn't see from any other publisher. Shadow Man was a really dark superhero book, but he wasn't the dark part. A little like what Garth Ennis does with the Punisher. He's just cool superhero, but he's in Louisiana, and so he's always coming up against this really, really intense stuff.
Is there voodoo?
It's all about voodoo,
Yeah.
and Master Dark and different things. So anyway, Shadow Man was a really cool and different book way back in the day. As Valiant has done, they've done some other renditions. This is the 3rd rendition of Shadow Man. Same character. This is the 3rd volume that they've done, and there's some cool.
That's good. I like it.
That's some voodoo-y action adventure right there.
It's like Proper Midnight.
It's fun stuff. Like I say, it's always been really good. It's a hero on the edge in a world of dark mysticism that's constantly taking over. And like I say, just sort of it's one part superhero, one part mystical horror comic.
Yes, please.
As Shadow Man has always been.
Like
And that's one reason I always really push the Valiant stuff. It's a very strong superhero element, which honestly you don't get from a lot of the non-Marvel DC publishers, because one thing you hear from a lot of publishers is, well, Marvel and DC do that, so we do this other stuff. And I totally get that. And that's a big part of why I encourage folks to check out those other publishers. But what Valiant does is a really great job of both. They give you that 50% solid superhero stuff that we all love, but then you get 50%, like say, maybe horror and fantasy. Maybe it's like Exo is part well, Exo is not, maybe that's mostly sci-fi. Exo is superhero and sci-fi. Some of it's superhero and horror, some of it's superhero and crime noir. And so if you don't have a Valiant book on your list or don't know much about him, pick up this week's Shadow Man #1. You'll get a good idea of the caliber of stories and art that they do. From here, pick up Rhino #1 to go on the whole other end of the spectrum, which is, again, superhero, sci-fi kind of stuff, but is also a really great book. Good stories, good art. Just a last little spiel that, like Francie does every week on this show, and I almost never do, branch away from Marvel and DC. We all have a budget. We all have a maximum amount of time. We all have a maximum amount of space to put these things at home. And so we stay in our lane, which is great. But if you can, branch out a little bit, grab that Image book, grab a Valiant book, grab a Boom Studios book,
Black Cat Publishing book.
A Black Cat Publishing book, and just turn yourself on to something a little different.
Emo was asking about Isola from Image. I haven't seen anything from them in a while. I think it's all done.
Yeah, I haven't seen a new Isola in a long time.
But with Image books, there's never ever like an end. So in 6 months, they might restart it again. Who knows? It's
on hiatus. When everybody asks me, I just, that must be on hiatus. Till about a 2-year mark.
Sex Criminals is over. Lowe's over. And that's about all I know. Saga's over.
No, Saga is on hiatus.
I thought it was over.
Hiatus.
Oh, my God.
But so, yes. No comic is ever. No one's ever dead in comics.
Yes, TJ, we can carry a few more XXL shirts. We are low in all the sizes, so that's a good reminder to me to order some more. We will absolutely do that and put them on our website. Thank you for asking. And Sweet Tooth is going to be on Vertigo.
It's on
Netflix. Oh yeah, cool.
I do think that's cool. That's a neat story. Like a lot of things, Vertigo can translate that to TV pretty well. Let me make my last pitch for the original and still the best Action Comics.
This is original and still the best.
That's not Detective Comics.
No, but it's Batman.
Action Comics.
Batman.
Original. Still
Batman's
the best.
Way better.
So new creative team. Bold new direction. You may have heard they're kind of branching off the super line.
You got it, Daniel.
Superman is going to be about Jonathan. It's going to be Superman, son of Kal-El, will be the Superman book. And then our original hero will remain in Action Comics, the book he's been in since 1938. And again, like a lot of things I talk about, this book is as fun as it's been. If you're one of those people that jumped off at the end of the Bendis run, stick with it. Pick up 1029, grab this week's 1030. If you haven't, and you haven't been following any Superman at all, pick up the Future State Superman. It's just 2 issues, and they were really good. And that's where this is going to go. Superman is on War World, and I don't want to say too much about it. Those of you who picked up the Future State stuff will know what that's all about. But he's on War World, and he's going to save the day because that's what Superman does. And
or is Lois going to come in today?
Maybe Lois will. Well, there they are. Let me show you a little of that. Well, that's the Super Sons, but that shows you a little art. The aforementioned Damian. And again, another reason I like Damian is because his personality conflicts so much with his buddy John. But anyway, great stories, great art, fun time to be a super fan. I like when they give it a big sci-fi infusion. Sending him to Warworld is a great idea. And like I say, just sort of straight up superhero goodness like it's always been.
What's up, Ruben?
And now it's got Midnighter backups. That's the other reason I want to mention this. All the DC books have cool backup features now. So another reason to pick up those Superman Future States is for the backup feature of Mr. Miracle.
I don't
Because
think we have them anymore.
well, you got to pick them up somewhere because there's a Mr. Miracle backup feature and he's going to have his own book. So that's going to be really cool.
Emo, do you have a Batman story in mind you would want to write, asking for a friend? You know, are you sending me some softball? Are you? Because yes, I have written a Batman story.
It's really good too.
And for Halloween a few years ago, and it's Halloween and the Joker's doing some stuff and there's kids involved and there's murder and mayhem, and it's one of my favorite stories I've ever written. And so if I ever get a chance to write for DC, anybody listening, can you put in a good word for me? I've got a number of stories lined up, and that one's one of my favorites. Yes. If you want to learn more, you can hit me up afterwards. Email, I can send it. It's on my website if you want to check it out, francescamaria.com.
There you go.
But don't steal it. Don't steal my idea. Yeah. No, so Francesca Maria, there's no H in there. francescamaria.com. You can see I've written a origin story for Solomon Grundy. I've done a Question meets the Phantom Stranger story. I've done a Batman story. Yeah, I'm working on a Swamp Thing, Wonder Woman story. So just fan fiction, just practicing my craft. So you can check it out and give me some honest feedback. I'd appreciate it.
Good stuff. So that's our picks for this week. I can always ramble on for about just about anything, but those are some of my hot picks. Love the Batman Black and White.
Not enough people are reading the Batman Black and White, and there's the Superman Red and Blue. There's going to be the Wonder Woman
Black and Gold.
Black and Gold.
For us Steeler fans.
I love one shots. I love anthologies. I love books you can just pick up and read like 2 or 3 pages of some unique storyline, different artists, different writers. This one's got, I think, 5 or 6 different short stories. Good. Like, this is Lee Weeks. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Weeks, come on. So not enough people are reading these, and they're really, if you like Batman, you really got to read this stuff. I mean, this art is just phenomenal. Let me show you another page here. Look at that up close.
And I was reminded that
gorgeous.
Jim Lee's first Batman work comes from Batman Black and White, the original one. Yeah,
it's they've been doing this for years. They've got the statues. You can show these guys the little mini mystery packs that have the different
PVCs of the statues. Cool stuff.
Show the Facebook friends.
While I look on the back, Dick Sprang and back up.
And then turn the back around for him too.
Darwin Cook. So you got to order Series 1, so you get the Darwin Cook Batman PVC.
Yeah, Lee Weeks is a visual storytelling master. Yeah,
yes,
speaking of masters, Bernie writes in, Lee Weeks is of that caliber also, 100%.
Which is another quick plug to check out Causey's Classics last night. Not to toot my own horn, but some of the books we talked about.
I don't think people like it when you point at them.
Guys like John Buscema. We talked a little John Buscema last night. He's a world-building comic master. Talked to a few all-time great writers and artists on the show last night. So even though those books have already sold, still worth checking out the show and listening to a conversation about some all-time great creators.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yes.
So that about wraps up this episode of Comic Shop Talk Live. If you are not signed up for the newsletter, sign up for the Black Cat Comics newsletter. It's chock full of fun information. And when you get the newsletter, you know that the books are live on the site. And you go to black-cat-comics.com, click on shop, click on new this week. You pick up your books, either curbside or get them shipped out, or soon in an in-store appointment. You read them through the week. You tune in on Saturdays and we talk all about them, because that's what we do here on Comic Shop Talk Live. So that about does it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the Wednesday video in another week of good times.
And thanks for the window suggestions, you guys. Really appreciate it. Have a good week, you guys. Bye.